When a man you like suddenly stops chasing you, when the texts slow down, the excitement fades, the effort disappears, it feels confusing, maybe even a little painful. One moment he's eager, attentive, curious about you, and the next, it's like something switched off, and naturally, your mind starts racing. Did he lose interest? Did I do something wrong? Was it all just temporary? Now, sometimes the answer is simple. Maybe you weren't the right match, and that's okay. Not every connection is meant to turn into something lasting. But there are also situations where the connection was real, the chemistry was there, and things could have grown into something meaningful, yet something shifted. And in many of those cases, one subtle but powerful factor comes into play. You stopped being a challenge. That word, challenge, can feel uncomfortable. It can sound like playing games, pretending to be someone you're not, or holding back your feelings. And that's not what this is about. Not at all. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding human nature, attraction, and how emotional dynamics actually work in real life. Because here's the truth. Attraction thrives on curiosity, growth, and a sense of earning something valuable. When everything becomes too easy, too predictable, or too available too quickly, that spark can fade. Not because you're not enough, but because the dynamic changed. And that's where most people misunderstand things. Being a challenge doesn't mean being cold, distant, or unavailable. It doesn't mean ignoring messages or playing hard to get. In fact, you can be warm, kind, affectionate, and deeply interested while still being a challenge. So what does it actually mean? It means you don't abandon yourself to be liked. It means you don't overcompensate. It means you don't make someone the center of your world before they've truly earned that place. It means you have standards, boundaries, and a life that doesn't revolve entirely around another person. Because the moment you start bending too much, trying too hard to please, always saying yes, always being available, always giving more than you're receiving, you unintentionally lower your perceived value, not just in his eyes, but in your own. And that's where attraction quietly begins to slip. Think about it like this. When someone feels like they've already won you too early, before building a real emotional connection, there's no longer anything to grow into. No sense of progression, no journey. And without that journey, feelings don't deepen, they plateau. But here's the important part. This doesn't mean you should hide your feelings or pretend you don't care. You can absolutely show interest. You can say, I like you. You can be affectionate, open, and emotionally available. The key is simple. Don't lose yourself while doing it. You can care deeply without chasing. You can be kind without overgiving. You can be loving without sacrificing your standards. And when you do that, something powerful happens. You naturally become a challenge without trying to be one. Now let's take this a step deeper. One of the most overlooked ways to be a challenge is to actually challenge him. Not in a confrontational or aggressive way, but in a grounded, confident, slightly playful way that shows you have standards and expectations. For example, imagine you've only been on a couple of dates and he suddenly texts you late at night asking to come over. You already know what that likely means. Now, instead of going along with it just to keep his interest, you respond with something like, I think we might be on different pages. That's a bit too soon for me. Let's keep things a little more intentional. See what happened there? You didn't attack him. You didn't over-explain. You didn't apologize for your standards. You simply held your boundary with calm confidence. That's what being a challenge looks like in real life. Or sometimes it's even simpler. Sometimes it's just a look, a pause, or a single word that carries weight, a slightly raised eyebrow and a soft, playful, really? And then silence. No long explanation, no nervous justification, just confidence. Because when you don't rush to fill the silence, you give him space to step up, to think, to adjust. And if he values you, he will. And this brings us to something very important. The right kind of man doesn't run from challenges. He rises to them. A man who is genuinely interested in you, who sees your value, who wants something meaningful, doesn't want everything handed to him effortlessly. He doesn't want a relationship where there's no growth, no depth, no standards. He wants to feel like he's becoming a better man because of you. And when you challenge him, not by controlling him, but by simply being a woman with self-respect, boundaries, and a strong sense of self, you give him that opportunity. You create a space where he can invest, grow, and prove himself. And that investment is what builds emotional attachment. Now, some people hear this and think, I don't want to feel like I have to teach someone how to behave. And that's a valid concern. You're not there to raise anyone. You're not there to fix someone who lacks basic respect or maturity. If someone consistently shows low effort, ignores your boundaries, or makes you feel like you have to chase them, then they're simply not the right person for you. But in a healthy dynamic, growth is natural. Both people challenge each other. Both people evolve. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where things started strong but then faded, instead of immediately blaming yourself or assuming it's over, ask yourself a few honest questions. Is he still putting in effort? Am I allowing him to invest, or am I doing all the work? Have I been overgiving, over-explaining, or overcompensating? Did I make him the center of my life too quickly? Have I clearly communicated my boundaries and expectations? And most importantly, did I slowly lose myself while trying to keep him? Because that's often where things go wrong, not in one big moment, but in small shifts over time. You give a little more. You wait a little less. You ignore a small red flag. You prioritize him over your own needs. And before you realize it, the balance is gone. But the good news is, this is something you can become aware of, something you can adjust, something you can grow from. Because being a challenge isn't a tactic. It's not something you switch on and off. It's a reflection of how much you value yourself. When you respect your time, your energy, your emotions, others learn to do the same. When you have a full life, passions, friendships, goals, you naturally become more attractive. When you don't rush, don't chase, don't settle, you create space for something real to develop. And when a man feels like being with you inspires him to step up, to grow, to become better, not out of pressure but out of desire, that's when attraction deepens into something lasting. So if someone pulls away, don't panic. Don't immediately chase. Don't try to win them back by giving more. Instead, pause. Recenter. Return to yourself. Because the right person isn't looking for someone who is easy to have. They're looking for someone who is worth earning. And when you embody that, not through games, but through genuine self-respect, you don't just keep someone's attention, you keep their desire.